Is Zach LaVine's return imminent? Well, considering he's been assigned to the Windy City Bulls to practice, that could be the possibility. We're going to talk about what it can mean and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. So we got word earlier today, just a little while ago, that Zach LaVine has been assigned to the Windy City Bulls for practice. Now, usually when this happens and you have a player of Zach LaVine's caliber that's assigned down to the G League team, what it means is that with the team traveling, they want Zach LaVine to go through probably that last workout before he's cleared to return to play. And, that means that Zach LaVine's return is probably imminent for this Chicago Bulls team. Now, keep in mind, we talked earlier today about how Zach LaVine can be incorporated back into that Chicago Bulls rotation, and it seems like maybe that was a very timely topic to have in a video, considering this. Now, one final hurdle he has to clear, and so that's what he's down there to do, and he could be cleared as early as tomorrow. Now, I don't want to have that expectation. There's a full chance that he maybe is not cleared by tomorrow. The Bulls go ahead and travel to Philly, and then maybe he catches up with them after that. But this is the last hurdle for Zach LaVine to return to the Chicago Bulls, and this return has a lot at stake with it. Well, let me not say at stake, but a lot of implications could come out of Zach LaVine returning to the Chicago Bulls. There's one of a few different scenarios that could happen, right? Let's say, and keep in mind that, the Zach LaVine thing, and Casey Johnson, even in this article, talked about the increased openness from Zach LaVine's representation in the Bulls to find a trade, but also said that the Bulls front office and management team has a good relationship with Zach LaVine's representation. So, this could be that Zach LaVine returns. They want to see how the team rocks and rolls, and if this team keeps playing the way they have and adds an over 20-point per game scorer in Zach LaVine, and he plays well with this team, the sky's the limit for it in a case like that. Now, or they could look to bring Zach LaVine back to increase that trade value to show the basketball world and other teams that could be interested, hey, Zach LaVine is at least healthy. He's playing towards a winning team. He's contributing, and maybe that helps get them a little bit more on the open trade market for Zach LaVine. The rumors around Zach are going to continue to swirl throughout the rest of the season, no matter how long he's in a Bulls jersey. And if he stays in a Bulls jersey up until the end of the season and into next offseason, those rumors are going to stay being around. You're going to hear a lot of things with that said, but at least right now, a step in the right direction as far as Zach LaVine getting back on the court, which we've always said is kind of the best scenario for both parties. If Zach LaVine comes back, he's healthy, he's ready to go, he plays well, he contributes to winning, it's going to increase that trade value. Or if Zach LaVine plays well and then the Bulls don't stay winning and maybe the team doesn't look as good as it did without Zach LaVine, that could definitely hurt the trade value. There's a couple of different ways and routes that this can go in regards to the Zach LaVine trade saga, but one of the things is, hey, get him back on the court. Let's figure the rest out. Zach LaVine has been respectful enough and professional enough to still have an amicable relationship with Billy Donovan and head coach Billy Donovan, and considering that it's probably in the best interest of all parties, hearing that how Zach LaVine's trade marker is much drier than probably what his representation and even Zach was hoping for when this trade news came out, it may have humbled Zach some. And, what it comes down to, and I know a lot of people were questioning if this injury, hell, I did it as well when it came out, well, if this injury was more of a, hey, we're going to sit Zach out until we can find a trade. And I know those rumors are going to stay, that speculation is going to stay around, but this goes away and maybe clearing that up. So Zach LaVine return is imminent, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Not necessarily going to bank on that until we officially hear it, but we do now know that Zach LaVine has made that final step towards being cleared. He got one final hurdle, one probably workout with trainers and things like that to see how his body responds. And if it does, we could be seeing Zach LaVine back in the Chicago Bulls uniform on the court playing with the Chicago Bulls. And then that is going to start the whole next chapter of what this could mean for the team and for Zach LaVine on if he plays well, does he disrupt the chemistry? What does he do for the players? And, like I said in today's earlier episode, when you look at how Zach LaVine could potentially fit in what this team does, it's going to have to come through Zach LaVine's sacrifice. It's going to have to come through him understanding this isn't his team. And if it ever was, right, but it isn't his team definitely now, but the sum of the parts of the team can be great and can work well together. Zach LaVine is going to have to understand he's not going to have the ball in his hand as much. Kobe White and Patrick Williams have stepped up hugely in their roles, and I definitely think Billy Donovan would be totally crazy to take the ball out of Kobe White's hands, and Zach may have to now learn to play off Kobe White with the gravity that Kobe White has. But considering Kobe White in his recent shooting slump, the injury to the wrist, this may be even the best thing for Kobe White right now as well, to have another player that can shore up that scoring load and help him in that area and be even more versatile team. Now, Alex Caruso's played great in this and brought a lot of offense to pair with the defense he's always brought to the Chicago Bulls organization. But having a player like Zach LaVine, it could really help up this, especially as the Bulls are looking to make their move on an easier part of their schedule. And we got a nationally televised game against the New York Knicks. Imagine if Zach LaVine returns against the Knicks I believe it's on ABC. You never know what that could mean in the long run. So right now, hey, that's what the news is. Zach LaVine's return is imminent for the Chicago Bulls. And as long as this final hurdle goes well, we're probably going to be seeing Zach LaVine back on the court before the end of the week in the Chicago Bulls uniform. Let me know what you guys think on all this. As always, down below, make sure you're following the show at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.